Hello and welcome back to the Tuesday Checklist, the weekly show where we sit down, relax and find mean things to say about each other. We've just come back from EGX where we spent 4 days hanging out with lovely people, playing some amazing games and, most importantly, doing things live, which is very exciting and also sometimes terrifying because things can and do go wrong. With that in mind, we thought we'd have a little chat about some embarrassing times where we made a mess of it in front of a live audience. I'm up first with something I will never live down.
So a time where it went wrong for me live was very heartbreaking for me because it was at E3 2018 and I was very excited.
I'm very excited.
Good, I'm glad you're excited. I had been given the privilege of helping an excellent team of people at PlayStation to host the live shows that they were doing throughout E3.
I was busy, they asked me, but I couldn't do it.
Yeah.
I was busy doing E3.
And I didn't really have that much experience of doing anything live. It's a big production as well. It's like way more fancy than anything we're used to. Like there was.
Oi, shut up!
I had a wardrobe. I had a wardrobe and makeup. I had like makeup in the morning.
You can wear makeup.
They filled
if you
in.
want to.
No, but not like this. They filled in my eyebrows, and I had like just solid eyebrows. I looked in the mirror. I was like, wow. I have no gaps in my eyebrows. This is like the most amazing my eyebrows have ever looked. And I had all my cool clothes on. So I had been given the Days Gone segment to host. I was on a couple of others, but I was sort of like the additional presenter on that. So I just got to sit on the end and not have to worry too much and maybe ask questions if I wanted to ask. But this time I was doing the leading thing, so I had to introduce it. I was in charge of the timing of this segment. Basically, it was under my control, really, whether it was good or whether it was a disaster. And we managed to get through the interview. They showcased some Days Gone gameplay. It went really well. It was about 15 minutes into this segment, and I think, okay, I've asked all the questions I want to ask. We've seen the gameplay. Now it's time to just calmly wrap this up, end the entire segment. So I just...
Perfect. High fives all around.
Exactly. So I just calmly was like, thank you so much for your time. That's incredible gameplay we've seen of Days Gone there. And then as I was signing off, I said everything perfectly until the very last thing I said. And I tried to say... What I tried to say was... Stay tuned to the PlayStation YouTube channel, whatever it was being broadcast on, throughout the duration of E3, because we're going to have loads more amazing games to show you. We'll be back soon, or something to that effect. Okay. What I actually said was, and this is a phrase that I did check after, it doesn't exist. The thing I said was, we'll be back right soon. We'll be back right soon. Which it's not a thing anyone says ever, and you can see it. You can see my heart breaking in my eyes live. There's like, right soon. And there's like a little freeze frame before it fades to the lovely PlayStation logo and everything. My eyes just like fall, and it's like, it's the last thing you said, you idiot. We have got a lot more coming up from PlayStation Live at E3. We've got an incredible lineup of games to show you, so please stay with us. We'll be back right soon. That was, very, very disappointing for me. I was devastated, and
I don't get to do a lot of live work. I've not done any E3s or Paris Games Weeks, but I have been asked. I mean, when you think of me, you probably think of my prowess with fighting games, and that's why I was asked to attend the launch night, the UK launch stream of Mortal Kombat 11 with Nathan earlier this year, and I was, I had some trepidation about this because actually what I said a minute ago was a joke. I'm terrible at beat 'em ups, like famously, and Nathan's actually quite good, or he's like quite good at Tekken, or he tells me he's quite good at Tekken, and I have no way of judging. I think Rob might argue that he's better.
Yeah.
There you go. But I'm not. I'm nowhere near any of them, and I can't play beat 'em ups. I'm terrible. But so I did raise this when we were asked to attend, because they wanted to do kind of like it wasn't just like be a guest. It was, please come, be live on stage. We'll interview you, and we want you to fight against Corrupt FM. And they said, don't worry, get here a few hours early. We've got some time. We're going to train you up with a pro Mortal Kombat player. Obviously, not going to be able to, you're not going to be able to fight with the big boys, but we're going to teach you some tricks. You'll be great. Blah, 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 blah. None of that happened. Turned up completely untrained, and the whole thing was being kind of commented on by a couple of casters called Ketchup and Mustard, which I thought was quite funny. And you could hear this live. And I bring this up because I was terrible at the game, but somehow I managed to win the first round. I was Sub-Zero, but my ears kind of drifted just above the game and like into the room, and you could hear the casters, and they were very professional and they were doing their best, but it was obvious they had just nothing to talk about because our fight was so boring. They were literally talking about what Sub-Zero was wearing. They were like, he's in purple. I've never seen that purple outfit before. That's very interesting. And it just went downhill from there. And I went on to lose the next 3 rounds consecutively, terribly. And all I could do the whole time was listen to these casters. I was listening for tips. At one point, they were like, I managed to work out a little bit how to do, imagine this, guys, the move where Sub-Zero does his ice ball and he freezes his opponent. And it was like, I managed to do one of these ice balls, and at that precise moment, I heard the caster say something about like, great ice ball there, and when you do that move, it's a great opportunity to get in a big hit. And like, I was like, here we go. And Sub-Zero went like, and I was just listening to them like having to cover like only 80 damage there, but still it's good damage, It's just like, and I'm like trying to not spam that move that I've learned, but also it's the one thing I know how to do for sure. And there's so much just blocking, it's just pathetic, and it's just pathetic. It's just, and to be honest, DJ Beats was pretty pathetic as well. We were both sort of like, just jumping.
Did you jump backwards?
Jump backwards, jump forward, jump into a punch, like blocking when there's nothing to block. And that was basically it. Just the whole thing went wrong for me, and all I could do the whole time was listen to these poor professional guys who are used to commenting on, pro matches, having to just fill the dead air with something, just try and make this sound not like a complete farce. So it went quite wrong for me, unfortunately, but I still had a nice time, and DJ Beats was really nice.
So I haven't had many amazing, fantastic experiences like you guys. Like, I haven't been honoured to do a E3 presentation or play a fighting game live, because I haven't been in the industry that long at all, really. But I did my own stuff on YouTube, and I still do, or so did my boyfriend. And he sort of did his own little stuff, and he also did streaming as like on the side. So I'm not like live in front of a stage, but still we're live on the internet at the moment, on his show.
Still counts.
Still counts. So I was appearing as a guest, and we were playing Crash Bash. And our goal was to try and beat Crash Bash 100%. So we thought, yeah, on live stream, we're gonna get all the trophies, all the gems, all the crystals. When you're talking about an idea and you're like, yeah, this will be a brilliant stream. And then we were there and we were playing it, and it got to the harder challenges, and I got a little bit stressed. I got a little bit stressy, but it kind of hits that phase where you're just like, when you're trying to hold it in. But the problem was, I was focusing so much on the game, he was focusing on the chat, because he was always like, oh no, I really want to talk to everyone. But in a game where you've got little silver balls bouncing all over the place, that's not a really good time to start talking to the chat. So we kept on losing, and I was like, we lost that because you... And I was still trying to hold it in. But then it came to a point where I'd come down, but then he got cross with me, because I don't think we ever showed it on the stream, really. I think we hid it pretty well, but there's also a minigame in Crash Bash where you've got little are like the cars, like the little hoverboards, and all you have to do is go around in a circle. But it's so light and airy to control. Like literally you turn around a little bit and your character goes and it's just gone the other way. And he was really focusing on this. Like you could see it in his face. Like he was really nicely going around the edges. Then I come blundering in, doing like accidentally boosting everywhere. I wasn't very good at controlling it, so I was knocking him off. The other players, I just decided, you know what, I'm just gonna knock all of them off so he can go around. But the problem why this was so difficult was because I was having a laughing fit the whole time.
Oh no.
And you know when someone's really, really intense and the last thing they want is their teammate to be nearly on the floor crying because of the stupidity of watching Embryo in a little hover cart just knocking all the other players off. And the chat was like they ended up picking up on it and they all said that I was broken and like I need to because literally I was there, I couldn't breathe. I got to a point where like, I've got like phases of laughter and I had like a wheezy laugh, like you know when you're not making a noise, you're just like and you're just laughing like that. So and then it was at that point we were just like, yeah, we're really not going to get anywhere with this, are we? And then then my friend got involved with the chat and he was giving my boyfriend like banter in the comments. It was all a good laugh, and actually we watched it. It's fine. My mate did it on purpose. It was all just a very good laugh. It was just one of those moments where you know when you're streaming and you're like, yeah, this is going to be absolutely epic and awesome. We can do this, and then it just ends up with you both sort of like maintaining yourselves at your anger for each other, and then when you're angry, they're happy.
I have no idea what Rose is talking about. There's no touchstone here whatsoever.
It was just one of those moments. It went horribly wrong in terms of the gameplay because we didn't win, but my God, was I on the floor laughing. It was so funny.
I did not have to think at all about this entry. I knew straight away what I was doing. And my story starts at a big gaming festival called Insomnia. Basically, I was doing some filming for a TV show, and what happens when you go to a convention and you're filming for a TV show is everybody watches to see what you're doing. So wherever you stop, like you'll end up with a big crowd of people and you'll be doing something so boring. So like when it started, I was literally just doing my intro. I was just kind of doing like a hello, welcome to the show. Today we're at Insomnia. Like, let's go and check it out. That was pretty much it. And everybody was like, what's happening? What's going on? Yeah. It's like so exciting. So I filmed my intro and the first thing I needed to do was go to the PSVR section. And I was meant to be trying out the Rick and Morty VR game. And I get there and they're like, oh, it's the most popular one. Like everybody's playing it. We'll like the first one that comes free on anything else, we'll put you on. And it ended up being Super Hot VR. Now, I love Super Hot. I'm actually weirdly kind of scared of it because, yeah, as mentioned, I don't like robots or I'm scared of robots. I like them, but they terrify me. And I find it really stressful, which is why I think I enjoy it so much actually, because it's like, there's a weird rush of doing it because you like just spend ages and I'm like, okay, all right, there's someone over there, there's someone over there, I'm totally ready. And then I'll move and I'm just like, ah! And I just so I'm not good at Super Hot. So when they were like, you're gonna play it in VR, I was like, oh, that's great, thank you. That's perfect, exactly what I want to do on screen. So it started off as expected. I was freaking out. I didn't realize very early on that, of course, VR means there's a behind you. So I started off and I was like, look how good I'm being. And then I got hit in the back of the head with a throwing star and I was like, oh, okay. So like that was really terrifying. And then once I had realized there was a behind me, I was then terrified, like completely panic-stricken, really trying to remind myself that like, it's not real. This is not a real world that you're in. It's just the Super Hot VR world and you can take it off at any point. But of course, I was being filmed for a TV show. So I was like, yeah, this is great. Let's keep going. Don't worry about my heart rate. This is fine. And so I had to go through several stages where there's quick levels, they come immediately after each other, and if you mess up at any point, you have to start the entire stack again. So there was like a lot of pressure on me to just try and get through it. So it took me a few attempts. Eventually, I get through it. I think at this point, I'd been the one with throwing stars. So I was pretty excited. I got the last person in the head, and I was like, oh my God. And the guy who was like incredibly patient and lovely was like, well done. Thank God she's made it in, because obviously he'd been like assigned to me for the show, so he couldn't leave and he had to make sure that I got through it. And I was like so relieved, so relaxed that I was going to be able to take it off and that I hadn't made a complete fool of myself, that I went put my hand out, leant forwards, and leant on the table in front of me for a little break, only to very quickly realise it wasn't there. It was in the game. And so I just put my hand out, and like the second it kind of dropped by a millimetre, I was like, no. And in front of an entire crowd, my cameraman helpfully informed me, who had gathered to watch me before playing, I just fell forward, hit the VR headset on the ground, bounced my head on the floor, and everyone was like, oh no. But of course, I had to just laugh off, because I was like, you can't just like lay here and pretend to be dead, which was my first instinct. So I was like, oh God, I'm totally fine. Well, this is how funny. Well, that just shows you how realistic it is. And it was so humiliating. And everybody was laughing anyway. And so I quickly like finished up, was like, oh, that's so great, filmed my outro and left. And then then we had to walk to the green room, which is like quite a long way through. You have a special space in the convention that's just for media. And by the time I got there, my cameraman was like, I think your leg's bleeding. And I looked down, and I'd got a big like schoolyard graze on my knee, and it was just dripping blood down my leg. And I was like, it's fine, let's just go now, please. And so I literally have a scar on my knee from playing Super Hot. So that's my story of when things went oh so wrong live.
What are they called? Are they called casters? Help.
Yeah.
Okay, good.
Shoutcasters.
I didn't want to say shoutcasters because they weren't shouty.
Yeah,
They were just casters. Like the wheels on bottom of furniture.
You fit right into the scene, Dave.
I don't know, after our performance at EGX, I reckon Dave has a chance as a FIFA player. What do you think? Give us a like if you enjoyed the video, and don't forget to click that notification bell so you're always up to date with everything from the world of PlayStation.
For the players.